Yes, that's right. It's Joe here live for Joyrider TV, back with some more very interesting Q&A. And we've got a really wide range of preloaded questions for today's session. So strap in because this is going to be good. All right. Why am I going in and out of focus? That's how good it is going to be. So I'm just going to launch straight in with the first preloaded question, which comes from Dave. Dave is a Hobie 16 sailor. He's running a 2014 boat, and it's a very good question. It's on the topic of safety. He says, how do you get help from another vessel without putting anyone or your boat in danger? Brackets can be quite a challenge. Yes, brackets, I would agree. Okay, so let's assume that the scenario that we're talking about is you need, let's go for the tow. You need a tow with your boat, and there aren't any actual safety boats around, but you've managed to flag down a pleasure boat, let's say like a water ski boat or something similar, or a fishing boat, something with people who don't really understand sailing boats on board. So once, I think step one is make your boat as approachable as possible. So first thing to do in making the boat approachable is try to get it so that it's pointing, you know, pretty much into the wind, or in this sort of hove to position, which we talked about in the Q&A the week before last, where you've got the boat pointing in a sort of close hauled direction, upwind direction, but with the sails loose. That should mean that your boat is stopped. That is going to be a really good first thing to do. Perhaps your mast's down, in which case your boat will be stopped. But if it's not, then get your boat pointing almost into the wind so that it is going as slowly as possible. The next thing to do, and so there's a few different scenarios that we could talk about here. So let's say scenario one, your boat is in its normal sailing state and perhaps there's just not any wind. So let's do this one first, shall we? So the sails are up, no wind, and somebody's offered to give you a tow back in. So let's zoom in. What I would do in preparation for somebody giving you a tow is I would, if you haven't got a specific tow line on your boat, then what we want to do is use, if we've got a capsize righting line, that will do nicely. Or otherwise, it's nice to have a rope that is attached to your boat that can be used. But because you don't know what rope the towing vessel is going to have on board. So what I would do, capsize righting line, and this is going to be orange, would you believe? And we just, the capsize righting line tied around the middle of the front beam or the dolphin striker. Front beam is better because it's a bit more solid. But if you've got a trampoline that doesn't allow that, then the dolphin striker, or if not, around the base of the mast. And then that line leads forwards. And what's quite handy on the boats that we use at Wildwind Sailing Holidays, the sailing school where I've been working, is if this is the bridle wires at the front, that we leave the boats on moorings throughout the day, and to moor the boats we actually have a loop of rope at the front there, And that's really handy for towing, because that means that we can pass the line that we're going to get towed with through that loop. And that means that if you, for some reason, lost your direction a little bit, because the pull of the tow is coming from the middle of the boat at the front, it's going to always be trying to pull you straight. What we don't want to do is have the tow line coming directly from here and then going straight to the towing vessel, because what that's going to do is the tow is going to be pulling from the middle of the boat, which means if you lose your direction a little bit, the tow line could start pulling under the hull and start trying to pull the boat kind of sideways, which isn't going to work very nicely at all. So what we're going to want to do one way or another is, using something at the front of the boat, we're going to want to have the tow line kind of led forwards. So what you might have to do is take a turn around the bridle wire. Not ideal. Better if we can rig up a quick rope loop at the front to allow us to get a good forward tow from the front there. And then so if you've got no wind, you've got time to prepare. So you're going to sort of shuffle forwards onto the bow, put your line through your towing loop, which you've now got, and then bring the line back to your boat so that it's easy to get at, so that then when the towing vessel is starting to approach, next thing we need to do is make sure that your tiller extension, when they're going to approach, is not sticking over the side. Too many times I've seen tiller extensions snapped because they're over the side, and then a towing vessel is coming alongside, and perhaps there's small waves or something which just snap the tiller extension. So make sure that the tiller extension is not over the side. Perhaps it's forwards, if necessary, off the back. Third thing, make sure you've got no ropes in the water. So this rope that's going to be your towing line, have it pulled fairly tight and back onto the boat, so that there's no risk of any ropes going round the propeller of the towing vessel. Like, especially if you're in a potentially sketchy situation, maybe there's rocks involved, you don't want to get the towing vessel in trouble as well. So make sure there's no ropes in the water, and make sure that there's no people dangling their legs over the side, or anything else over the side for that matter. And then if the towing vessel is hasn't got soft sides, so it isn't a rib, it isn't a boat with fenders out, if it's just fiberglass side of the boat, then we don't really want that boat up against our boat. So we're going to be ready. We haven't got our legs or hands sticking out of the side, but we're ready to kind of grab it to stop it from actually hitting the side of the boat. Once we get to that position, we'll then try to communicate with them. Have you got a towing line? And they might say yes, they might say no, but hopefully they'll say yes, and they'll have already prepared it. You can then tie the end of their towing line to the end of your towing line, and that then means that you can then pay the line out as they pull forwards, and then your tow will commence. Now, the best possible thing that we can do is actually, rather than using our towing line, is if their line is long enough, and it needs to be at least, I'd say, 10 boat lengths of your boat, because otherwise, if they slow down, if it's any shorter, if they slow down, there's a good chance you're going to go into the back of their boat. But if their towing line is long enough, then take their line, pass it through your towing loop, which you've got, and then take a few turns around the base of the mast, and then you can actually get the crew to hold on to the line or tie it off. And then that means that when you don't want to be towed anymore, you can just untie that from your boat and you're clear of the towing vessel, which can work better. But it all depends on the length of the towing line that the towing vessel, like if this is our towing vessel, how long that line is on that boat. Yeah. So that would be one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, if the wind is really light and you haven't got very far to go, then if this is actually the side of the towing vessel, so we could imagine that this is double the width. And if it's either a boat that's got fenders or if it is a rib with inflatable hulls, then you could actually take an alongside tow where this is much quicker to set up, where you could take his painter, attach it to the base of your shroud, and then you need another line at the back just to hold this so it's tight together. And then as long as his engine is behind the back of your boat, it means he's able to maneuver. If his engine is further forwards, it means that steering is going to be very difficult. And then while you're being towed like this, you then just need to steer very gently. These are rudders, by the way. That's your rudder. Very gently in towards him. And that means that steering is available. So that would be the alongside tow. Then if the situation was that your mast had come down, okay, so now you've got much fewer chances. Like the most difficult one is if you're sailing a boat which has got a spinnaker and your masts come down. Now that is a very tricky situation. So what we need to do first, if your masts come down and you've accepted, yes, it's down, while you're waiting for hopefully help to arrive, first thing you want to do is get the sails off the mast. Now, this can be quite tricky to do. And so we need to remove the halyard from the top of the mainsail. We don't have to worry about unhooking it. We just need to take the shackle off or however it's attached. And then you can pull the mainsail down. Because if we try to take the tow with the sails still in the mast, then it just increases the chances of the sails getting damaged. Now, if it is a bad situation, rocks involved perhaps, then yeah, don't worry about the sails. Just where's our mast? In fact, let's move to a smaller boat. So there's our boat. We just want to have the mast kind of diagonally across the boat like that, because that way it's going to have the smallest amount of mast, which is potentially going to be touching the water. So if you need to get towed to get off rocks, just sit on the sails so the wind isn't going to catch them and try to flip them over, because that could be a bad situation. Again, we need to prepare a towing line so that it's led forwards somehow, like a turn around the bridle fitting is possibly the best that we can do. And if absolutely necessary, just to take it directly from the dolphin striker or the front beam and just out the front if we've got no choice at all. That's still going to work, but you're just going to have to focus on the steering very attentively. Yeah, but if we can, we'll get the sails off. Now, I said the most difficult one is if you've got a bowsprit spinnaker on the boat. Now, the reason this is more difficult is because once your masts come down, the bowsprit, if this is our boat, so here's our spinnaker boat. Once the masts come down, the end of the bowsprit is actually going to be down like this with the chute. It's going to be in the water. And that means that if you try driving forwards, getting towed forwards with this in the water, you're risking breaking something badly, or it just dragging really badly and making it's not going to be a good situation. So what we have to do there is we're definitely going to need to remove the sails from the mast, and then with the mast across the boat like this, we can then tie the bowsprit around the mast to make it possible to tow. So we're getting the bowsprit elevated out of the water so that it's not catching anymore. But if the mast has come down, then like I said before, another problem that the towing vessel might have is rope and wires in the water, which potentially could go into the propeller. Imagine if a trapeze wire got wrapped up in a propeller. That would be a really bad situation. So we just have to be really aware of that and try to tidy it up as best as we can before the towing vessel comes on the scene. Yeah, but just need to communicate as much as you can. Like the kind of like the worst thing that we can try to avoid is to actually have somebody in the water with a running engine near to them. So that is the situation that we're trying to avoid. So if there's somebody in the water and somebody's coming over to help, if it looks like they don't know what they're doing, really signal to them to stop and wait while you get your person out of the water onto the catamaran, and then allow them to approach. Because if you know, I'll leave that there. All right. So thanks very much for your question, Dave. I hope that has shed a bit of light on that. It's a pretty huge topic, to be honest. Like, yeah, just take it slow and safe and really think everything through. Like if your mast comes down, for example, just try not to panic. Just think, okay, the mast's down. If it's windy, just think, all right, where are we going to end up if nobody comes to help us? We're going to end up pretty much straight downwind. Start having a look straight downwind, see where that is. You should have a some sort of communication device on. I think these days, if you're not sailing in a supervised location where you've got specific safety boats, then you should take your phone with you. Dry bags are pretty inexpensive and easy to come by, so have your phone with you with some numbers on your phone that you can call if something happens. So there we go. I just saw in the live chat, Dave is with us. D Nixter says, how with a complete inversion, how would you get help from a ski boat? Okay, so if your boat was completely inverted, here we are. Yeah, so again, a bit of preparation is going to help. So our normal procedure for bringing the boat up from inverted, and this is pretty much what we're going to do with help from a powerboat, but they're just going to give us a bit more horsepower to help bring it up. So if the wind's coming from here, boat is inverted, we want to have our body weight on the downwind side, because what we're trying to do is lift this side up so that the wind can get underneath. So this is where we would be in a normal capsize righting procedure. We'll take our capsize righting line, we'll pass it underneath the hull and then over the top, and then we'd be holding it here and leaning out. That would be our normal situation. But let's say that's not working because you haven't got enough wind, or maybe you haven't got enough weight, or perhaps a pretty poor situation, but perhaps your mast has got water in it. That really makes it very difficult to pull up from inverted. So what we would need to do then, if there was a boat, here's our half a boat coming to give us a hand, we want him to approach on this leeward side. And then if it's a ski boat, you'd think he'd have a ski rope. So then he could chuck us the end of the ski rope, and we would then attach our capsize righting line to the ski rope, or whatever tow line he's going to present. And then what we want then is for him to go directly away. This rope is then going to pull in this direction. What we're not going to do, by the way, is use any sort of carabiner clips or snap shackles. So a snap shackle like this, we don't want to put that between these two ropes. We just want to tie two bowlines, knots, to tie the two ropes together. The reason is because this rope is going to come under a huge amount of tension. So we need to be really wary of where we position ourselves. And he really needs to be driving square away from your boat. So it has to be square. If he starts going this way, the rope's going to start going this way and you're in the danger zone. So this is a fairly sketchy thing to do from an inexperienced powerboat driver. Perhaps he's on his own. But if it's either this or you're staying upside down in the middle of the sea, as long as you take it really slowly and really pay attention to what's going on, but you don't want this rope going over your hand or a body part, because it's going to be under a lot of tension. And I have seen it in the past where a carabiner has been used to go between the two lines. A line has snapped because it wasn't strong enough, and the carabiner got fired like a bullet from a gun and actually penetrated the hull. So it was just really luck that it didn't hit someone. That is how I learned the almost really hard way not to do that. So you shouldn't do it as well. Yeah, and then what's going to happen once this boat is pulling away, this hull is going to dig into the water more. So we need to stay on this side because we're still trying to achieve the same thing, which is for the boat to lift up this way, and then it'll be onto its side. And then either you can right the capsize as normal, or if he keeps pulling, he's going to pull the boat all the way upright. But, you know, the truth of it is tricky. It's tricky to pull that off. So there you go. Thanks very much, Dave, for your question. I hope that is of help. But just get your ropes out of the water, get people out of the water before a boat is allowed to approach. And if it's just fiberglass hull, then really consider, do you want to risk having fiberglass on fiberglass, or are you willing to wait until you get blown back to shallow water, perhaps? Yes, big question. All right, so I'm going to check in with everybody who's checking in. I hope everybody is having a good day. Yeah, I've been out first day, back out on the Catamaran today. Yeah, I've been out on the, where is it? The Mini Cat. Yes, because it fits in the back of the car. And Vasiliki Beach, unfortunately, at the moment is not in a particularly good state. So I've actually driven up towards the top end of the island to get a bit of champagne sailing in up there. Very nice. So checking in, we've got Mark and Janet in Ohio. Going to be a cold week. Still waiting for spring. Yes, spring has certainly sprung here. Kevin's on board in, I believe, Michigan, Illinois, in that direction. Do you have any more information on the add-on foils for a Hobie 16? Those looked super cool. Yeah, they certainly did. So this was can't remember the name of the company now, but a company making bolt-on foils to make your boat lift up out of the water. I am guessing it's going to be at least a year before the kit, the kind of prototype kit, is ready for the Hobie 16. And as soon as it is, I am going to be going to France to do some testing, because I think I need to be involved with that project. So you're certainly going to know about it when it happens. All right, we got Cuxolly on board in northern Germany. Nice to have you with us, as always. All right, we've got Leland Lee. This time fourth off the start line in Clearwater, Florida. Great to have you with us, Lee. Jens is with us as well. Yeah, so Cuxolly and Jens are both channel members, which is why their name in the live chat is green, as is Dean Nixter. Being a channel member of Joyrider TV means you are supporting Joyrider TV to continue making videos. Very nice. It's a way of supporting the channel without even having to leave the YouTube platform. Very nice. What do you get as well as that warm glow inside for supporting Joyrider TV? Well, thought you'd never ask. You get early access to all of the videos. Basically, as soon as I've uploaded the video, you get to see it immediately. No waiting. Yes. Because I usually launch the videos on certain days of the week at this time, when whatever that was for you. Declan's on board, channel member. All right. All the channel members are on board. This is nice. What else do you get from being a channel member? You get some exclusive video stuff. Yeah, today I thought I'd start a new, what am I going to call it? New scheme where when I'm out on location, like I was today doing some filming, I'm also filming some behind the scenes stuff, which is going to be exclusive for channel members and people who support Joyrider TV on Patreon. If anybody's in the live chat on who does support Joyrider TV on Patreon, apologies for not being able to mention who you are, because I haven't got a list handy of who is there. But supporting Joyrider TV on Patreon is also just as good as the channel membership, but you do have to leave the platform of YouTube to go to another website to make that happen. There we go. So that's what I'm starting to do as of today. So I'll have the behind the scenes of what went down today, edited and uploaded for channel members and Patreons tomorrow. Yes, I will. Thank you very much. While we're on the topic, you know, you brought this up. Another great way to support Joyrider TV is to head over to totaljoyrider.com and do a little bit of retail therapy. Yeah, you could get a t-shirt, a hoodie, a hat, a drinking vessel. I don't go anywhere without mine. Keeps the water cold all day. Yeah, sorry, it's just water in there. But also what we can do, totaljoyrider.com, we is me basically, is I can design for you custom designs. So we are coming up to the event season in the Northern Hemisphere, at least. And there's one way that you can really intimidate the competition, and that is to turn up in matching gear. Yes. So when I go to a tornado competition, I'll have the Bad Boy 94 t-shirt on the back. Yeah. So you could have something like this, have your type of boat like this with your national flag. This was when I was racing with Swedish John, Swedish, and me flying the flag for Grand Britannia. Yeah, something like that. Anything at all. Pretty much, if you've got an idea of what you'd like your design to be, you can write it on a piece, draw it on a piece of paper, send me an email with it on there. I'll make it into a real one. Got the sponsors logo as well, OS3, making the engine for Bad Boy 94. Yeah, and I'll make the design. I'll send you the design. You could say, yes, I love it. And then I'll put you a collection together so that you can get your sizes and colors at your leisure. Very nice. But yeah, average time from your email to receiving it would be something like 2.5 weeks. But it does depend on where you are. If you are, I think in Indonesia, for example, it's going to take a little bit longer than if you're in the USA, if you're in Australia, or if you're in the UK, in Europe, it's going to be less time. Anyway, let's get back on with the live chat. Okay, sorry about that. Went off on one. All right, yeah. So we've got Scott is dropping it in the slot. Nice to have you with us, Scott, if you're still there. Otherwise, if you're not still there, you'll be seeing me later, but I won't be seeing you. All right. D. Nixter is on board. Yes, that's Dave who was asking the question about getting a tow from a unqualified support boat. All right, we've got John with us. He says, will there be mini cats on the speed stick this year? I'd like to see them. I'd like to see if I can best them in the Hobie Bravo. Oh yes, yeah. So while I was out on the mini cat today, yes, I had the Water Speed app running, and yes, I'm going to be posting my first. This is new for me this year. Is due to popular demand. I'm going to post my speeds on the speed stick as well. So yes, I'm going to be smashing in there with a not particularly big speed on the mini cat today. So yes, get in there on the Bravo or anything else that you happen to be sailing. All right, so Fiona's with us down in the southeast of the UK, back in the water. Have a great season. Yes, thank you very much. And I've got a preloaded question from Fiona, which we're going to be coming on to shortly. If you don't have to get away, Fiona, just let us know if time is of the essence and we can get it in there sooner. All right, Declan is with us, representing Sweden and Ireland. It's been a long time since I've had Friday afternoon free to join the Joyrider TV crew. Nice to see you all. He says channel member plus Patreon is the best mix for the full flavor. Very nice. Thank you very much. We've got Uno de Piratas on board. It says for you before you go to make more reactions, there are a guy traveling with his catamaran along the Adriatic Sea. Oh, his name is Igor. Yes, I've seen Igor's video. It's actually, I think it is possibly the most popular small catamaran video, like feature length on YouTube. He's got over 1 million views on that. That does make me feel a little bit like, oh, has he? On an FX1, that's correct, Declan. Yeah, so he's cruising down the coast of Croatia. I think the strap line is he's doing 1,000 kilometers on an FX1. Yeah, nice video and very popular. I think everybody loves a journey. And my master plan, although it might get flagged a little bit by the port authorities, is all right. So we've got the Mini Cat, right? Not the most exciting boat to watch because it's not the fastest. It's just very practical. But what my plan is I'm going to take the Mini Cat in its 2 bags on the ferry to Italy. Right? You see where I'm going with this? Answers on a postcard. Yeah, and then I'm going to get off the ferry in southern Italy. I'm going to pump it up, and then I'm going to sail it back to Greece. Would you watch that? Yeah. If not, I'm not going to do it. Might be quite a traumatic experience, but I'm thinking that would be a quite an epic video to just do something along those lines. The journey, because a journey is like a story. It's got start, a middle, and hopefully an end. And I think that's why journeys are popular. There we go. All right, so back into the preloaded questions and announcements, in fact. So if you happen to be in the USA or in Canada, there's Mark, who's in British Columbia. We're just putting some feelers out at the moment, but he is selling an immaculate Tornado catamaran. Yeah, immaculate. If this sounds interesting to you, then put it in the comments and I'll put you in touch with Mark. But I haven't got any further information about it at the moment. But I just thought I would let you know. Also, if you're in the USA, coming up, one of the main events of the season is the NACRA 50th anniversary regatta, which is going to be in southern Texas from the 9th to the 16th of June for any NACRA or F-18 sailors. And with all of these events, we're just trying to make them as well attended as popular. Going to an event is one of the best things you can do with your sailing boat. So I think it is well worth getting involved. If you're, and an event like this, the NACRA 50th, if you are if you sail a NACRA, there is no excuse if you can get there. If there's a few NACRAs at your club, then perhaps look at putting 2 or 3 boats on one trailer and doing a little convoy across the country. Very nice. All right. So next in the preloaded is Zach. Nice to have a question from you, Zach. Zach says, is it possible to run a spinnaker on a furler on a Hobie 18 or anything else, let's say, versus a chute or a bag? Yes, it is possible, but you are going to have, if you've already got a spinnaker that you've been using perhaps with a bag or a chute, you are going to have to get it slightly modified, because to actually allow the spinnaker to furl, you need to have a good furler. And incidentally, I was out on the Mini Cat today with the furling spinnaker on there, and it works absolutely brilliantly. And I would suggest, actually, I'll have a look at the gear that the Mini Cat uses, because the actual furling system that it uses couldn't be better. It really is that good. Works so nicely. Yeah, I'll find out what that is. You need a good swivel at the top. Hold on, let's here's our Hobie 18. It doesn't really look like a Hobie 18, but it'll do for now. So what we need is a swivel. This is my picture of a swivel here. We need a furler. This is my picture of a furler here with the furling line going back here. And then what we're going to need in the front edge, the luff of the spinnaker, is we're going to need some sort of something thicker than, you know, how a normal spinnaker just has a very flat front edge, same as the bottom and the leech. But for it to actually be able to furl, it needs to have something thicker. Like on the mini cat system, it's got like a bolt rope, very similar to what you'd have on the front edge on the luff of the mainsail. So you need to have something like that, because we need to get some tension in there, and we need to have something, albeit quite thin, for it to roll around. Otherwise, when you pull the furling line, all that's going to happen is the bottom of the spinnaker is going to twist, and the top is going to stay open. So it's going to be a mess. So you do need to have a bit of modification there. What I'd be quite interested to see actually is the system that is used on the Hobie Pearl, because that is a modern performance catamaran that is fitted with a furling spinnaker as standard. So it would be really interesting to see that. Thanks for your question there, Zach. All right. So Fiona says, Brindisi to Lefkas. No, the ferry takes 12 hours and it's a busy channel. I was actually thinking of going from Bari to Corfu, and then from Corfu across to the mainland, and then a bit of, what would you call it, like coasting down. So the actual open sea part wouldn't be quite so long. And spoiler alert, but I was thinking if I was going to do it, I would have some sort of support vessel with me, but just outside of the shot, so you can't see it. Is that cheating? Does that mean that you can't trust anything you see? I think I would mention it, that I'm not completely off my head, and I'm not gonna go out on a boat which, if attacked by a swordfish, for example, worst case scenario, you're sailing an inflatable boat across the Adriatic Sea, busy shipping channel, and a swordfish decides that he doesn't like the look of you and decides to chop your inflatable hulls in half. That is a bad day. So yes, for this outing, I thought a support vessel to come along might be very appropriate. Anyway, in other news, Fiona has also supplied us with a preloaded question, which is, I can't remember how it was worded. I've just written sailing by the lee. Okay, so sailing by the lee, if you haven't or if you have come across this, is a technique used more by mostly by laser sailors, to be honest, but by people sailing monohulls which have unstayed masts. So that means that the mast doesn't have any rigging to hold it up. Now let's see if I can get my head round how to draw this. So yes, we're just dipping a toe into monohull sailing here. So here is our monohull. And then, so normally you would think, okay, so the boom is going to be out on this side and we're kind of running here. We're I think you'd call it a training run. Now, yes, this is perfectly a suitable way to sail the boat, but the reason, let's just say what sailing by the lee is first. So let's actually have the wind a little bit further round. So, you know, normally you'd be sailing like this, but what sailing by the lee is we'd start off sailing straight downwind. And then what we'd actually do is have the sail out beyond 90 degrees. So if you look at the angle where the sail was, if we had it out on the normal side, it would be exactly the same. But instead of that, we have the sail out on the windward side. And what this is, all right, what this is actually doing is promoting better airflow on the sail, because instead of on this side where we're almost dead downwind, we've just got turbulent airflow driving us forwards. By sailing by the lee, we've actually got a bit more of a laminar airflow. But have we? Do I even know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I think so. So it's kind of like we are more on a broad reach, but with the sail out on the other side. And what it actually means is, in terms of the front edge and the back edge of the mainsail, we've swapped those over. So this effectively becomes the front edge where the mast would be. And then where the mast is effectively becomes the trailing edge. Now, the question, so that is actually what sailing by the lee is, where you've turned beyond straight downwind. Your mainsail is out beyond 90 degrees. Let's get rid of him. And it can be used for strategic reasons, where perhaps you don't want to jibe the boom to get where you're going. It's certainly used for catching waves more efficiently on a monohull like this, but it can actually be quicker as well, because when you're sailing like this, I think there's a method which I believe is called kiting, where if this is the boat, let's say we're heeled over a bit, and by having the sail higher up, so it's heeled over, but we've actually got the sail out on the windward side, but it's pulling, the pull is kind of round to the normal side. So you'd actually be hiking out, if it was windy, with the boom on the same side that you're hiking out, because the pull from the sail is actually pulling that way. Weird. Yeah. So that is my I don't know what I'm going to say. My explanation of sailing by the lee. It is definitely used in the, even like the club racing level laser fleet or single-handed monohull fleet. But what I did notice when I was sailing the Hobie 14, when I was racing the Hobie 14, was because racing the Hobie 14, going downwind, we go dead downwind, straight downwind. And I was wondering, because sometimes I seem to unlock this bit of extra speed on the downwind legs. And I was wondering, although the Hobie 14 obviously has got rigging that holds the mast up, now, was it because I was actually coming beyond dead downwind, but still with the mainsail out on that original side? was I then effectively sailing by the lead to some extent, which just made it more efficient and faster? There we go. I'm just going to leave that one there, I think. That is certainly enough. Oh, except Declan has perhaps got a bit of science for us. Perhaps aerodynamically, the sail is pushed higher to the wind rather than spilling it in the standard configuration. You catch more pressure. The laminar flow would be less inefficient given the taper. There we go. You can take that as much as you like. I'm not even going to try to put that into other words, but thanks for that, Declan. Yes, and I think because if you're kiting, the sail's higher up as well, and having the sail higher up, yeah, like Declan says, you're not going to be spilling as much wind, but also it physically being higher up means you're not getting the drag of the lower down the wind is, the more drag the wind is getting actually from the friction of the water. So as the wind gets higher up, you're actually getting a faster flowing wind, which might be another reason why it is a popular technique. But rest assured, in a week's time, our laser sailing experts at Wild Wind Sailing Holidays are actually going to be here. So maybe I'll do a special question time with our laser sailing experts from Wild Wind Sailing Holidays to find out their explanation on sailing by the lee and why it is fast. Thank you very much for the thought-provoking question, Fiona. Now on to something that is a far more comfortable topic for me to talk about. This is from Bone Crusher in Hilton Head, where I'm going to be late October for the fifth. It's another fifth. I think it's the 50th anniversary regatta. But yes, I'm going to be at Hilton Head the end of October for the regatta there. And before the regatta, I'm going to be running a race training clinic, which 2 days, starts on the Wednesday. So it's Wednesday, Thursday, race training clinic with me to get you race ready for the regatta. So it is the perfect opportunity. If you've never raced before and you thought, I've heard this Hilton Head regatta is going to be pretty special, then come to this race training clinic. I'll get you absolutely race ready, and then you can hit the race course on the Friday with all the knowledge that you need to get out there and race. Very nice. So again, we're just trying to get as many boats on the water for that event as we possibly can. And then while I'm on the topic, I'm also, start of November, after the Hilton Head regatta, I'm going to be flying from there to Corpus Christi, Texas, to participate in the Hobie Alta Cup, which is going to be held in the Hobie Wave class. Yes, going to be racing the waves. Now, we are hoping to get over 150 waves for that regatta. That is going to be quite a spectacle and something unlike anything you have ever seen before on Joyrider TV. So, yes, I'm going to be documenting the races daily from Corpus Christi and from Hilton Head. So there we go. Very nice. All right, Fiona says, oh, it's complex, but you did a great job. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Very kind. Think I've done that by purely by chance, with some of you sailing alongside a laser or two would be seriously fun and interesting times. Yeah, maybe I'll dip a toe into some monohull sailing videos during the summer. I do like to stay in my lane as much as I can, but I think to nip out occasionally is all right. So Bone Crusher says, what is the reason to increase the jib halyard purchase with multiple blocks? Is it solely to make it easier to tension the jib halyard? does it protect the rig? I would say no, it doesn't protect the rig. Let's get that one done straight away. So we're talking Hobie 16, and there's two basic types of jib halyard system. If we draw an extremely chunky mast, and yeah, very chunky rig on this 16. So the normal, let's say the classic jib halyard system is with two blocks here. In fact, it's easier if I draw what the rope does first. So the rope comes up, goes round, 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 and then ties off there. So now I can draw the blocks in. So this is a double block here, and this is a single block with a Beckett. A Beckett, incidentally, have I got a Beckett here? Yes, I do. A Beckett is something like this. This is called a Beckett, where the rope would tie off underneath a block. There you go. In case you didn't know, just here with some good information. Yeah, so this would be the standard classic jib halyard system on a 16. So that is a 1, 2, 3 to 1. Okay, so we're getting some purchase on there, and then that would go down the mast to a horn cleat. That's like one of these cleats that look like this, where we would then tie the rope off using like a figure of 8 kind of tying off method. So this is very much the classic standard Hobie 16 jib halyard system. It works absolutely fine. To get the recommended amount of rig tension in a light wind does require a bit of effort, and we actually use a method called sweating the halyard, where you actually pull the halyard out from the mast. So you'd stand here, you'd pull the halyard out away from the mast. Apparently it's a tall ship, like classic ship technique for getting tension on a rope, because you get more purchase, more leverage there, and then you tie it off on the cleat. Now, the more modern system that we have on the 16s is what's known as the Aussie system. Now, on the front edge of the mast, but I'm going to draw it kind of on the side here a bit, just so we can see, we'll have one block, then we'll have a block here, then we'll have a cam cleat here, and then we'll have the horn cleat here. Is everyone getting this? So what happens is the halyard goes down around this one, up to this one, down through the cam cleat, and then cleats off on the horn cleat for extra added security. I believe the expression once was belt and braces. Yes. Yes, so we're getting an extra 2 on our purchases, and yes, it does make it easier to get the rig tension on. And the reason it was added by Hobie was for the people who are racing, is so that they can adjust the rig tension while they're afloat without risking losing it all. So you'd loosen it off a bit on the horn cleat, and then by uncleating the cam cleat, that would then loosen it off, or vice versa. You could pull it tighter through the cam cleat. Makes it a bit safer to adjust the rig tension on the water. And yes, it does make it a bit easier to get the tension on. But to be honest, when I'm rigging a 16, I'm still sweating the halyard the same that I would do with a classic system. So I'm still only getting that 3 to 1 purchase when I'm putting the jib up. So there you go. All right. That is what I believe to be true. Okay, and we've got Ryan on board, back at it in Maui in the Hawaiian Islands. Yeah, I'm just going to finish off just with a customer service announcement, is that there are some new designs in the totaljoyrider.com online store. There are new Hobie Getaway designs. Oh, yes. And to be honest, I was so pleased with the Getaway designs that I actually did a new Hobie 16 design because the Getaway designs were so good. So do check it out. Okay. All right. Declan says, how are your bees, Ryan? Ryan keeps bees. This is noble work. I was just thinking we should put together a bingo card for when Joe mentions gear terms. Yes. Aussie Jib Halyard. Yeah, I think that would be in there. Definitely. The Melcheski, definitely in there. All right. So I think that is all we have got time for right now. If you're getting out sailing this weekend, get on the speed stick. Yeah, if I can get on the speed stick doing 9 knots on a mini cat, then you could get on the speed stick. I'd say if you're beating 9 knots, then it's all right. And that'll be one you can put on your CV. I am beating Joe from Joyrider TV on the speed stick. Yes, so get out there, get on the speed stick. By the way, Water Speed, the app, is now available for Android devices as well as iOS. So yes, get that, get on the speed stick. And all right, and Ryan says, I saw the designs. Oh yeah, bingo card. Remember to keep the stinger. There we go. All right, great new website, Total Joyrider. Oh, thanks, Declan. Glad you like it. I absolutely love the website. If you haven't seen the website, head over to totaljoyrider.com and have a look. I absolutely love it. By the way. Okay, see you soon with some more on Joyrider TV. Probably some minicat stuff on Sunday, and then we'll get back out on the 16th next week. Thank you very much.